Good morning. Happy 4th of July. Could you guess it's a holiday today? I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I'm the community spiritual leader here at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I am a little silly in the moment and enjoying that very much. We are a place that is playful and also all-inclusive, and we're delighted to have you with us this morning, whether you come all the time or this is your first time visiting us. So this is a place where it is safe to show up and be yourself. And so I thought I would show up and show the nutty side of me just a little bit this morning as we get started. At this point, now, it's time for all of you who are here present to go ahead and get up and say good morning to each other, wish each other happy holiday on this 4th of July weekend. And for those of you who are at home this morning, go ahead and give yourselves a hug. Get another cup of coffee. Get ready for a terrific morning. We're happy to welcome you. If you're here for the first time, I don't always look this goofy, but I do today. So let's enjoy this for a little while. I promise I'll take it off when it's time to talk and be serious. So our morning musician this morning is Denise Rosier, and she has not been on our screen for a while now, but she is magnificent. And she's an award-winning, of course, singer-songwriter, producer, recording artist. She has 5 solo albums. She's received 7 Positive Music Awards, or nominations, and 5 wins. And she is a staff writer for the Songs of Love Foundation, which is an organization of songwriters that are crafting original songs for special needs and terminally ill children. She's written songs for over 300 of these kids and has performed them in English, Hindi, Chukese, which is Micronesian, and Yamaha profiled her use of keyboards for doing good in the world. So she's going to lead us in this first song. She's going to wish you a happy 4th of July sort of first. And then she's going to lead you in this song called Spirit Alive in Us. So please stand and get ready to welcome Denise Rosier.
Golden Gate CSL, it's Denise Rosier. Happy Sunday and happy summer. I hope this finds every one of you jumping into an amazing July. I know that for us in Colorado, it has finally stopped raining, so we are rejoicing. And you know what? I hope that this finds you rejoicing this Sunday morning, whether you are singing along with me or just holding space for these lyrics. We are creating this morning together. Spirit is alive in us.
Here we go.
Spirit, you're alive in us. You're alive in us right here. Spirit, you're the light in us, shining bright through us right here. Spirit, you're the love in us, reaching out with every touch. Spirit, you're the voice in us, rising up beyond a hush. Yeah, yeah. We feel it, reveal it. We see it, believe it, it's spirit. you're the breath in us, breathing all of us right here. Spirit, you're the grace in us, calming every fear right here. Spirit, you're the peace in us, spreading out across the world. Spirit, you're the power in us, flying like a flag unfurled. Yeah, yeah, we feel it, we feel it. Yeah, yeah, we see it, believe it, in spirit.
Come on, you can trust your balance. Move a little bit.
Spirit, you're alive in us. You're alive in us right here. Spirit, you're the light in us, shining bright through us right here. Spirit, you're the love in us, reaching out with every touch. Spirit, you're the voice in us, rising up beyond a hush. Yeah, yeah, we feel it, reveal it. Yeah, yeah, we see it, believe it. Yeah, yeah, we feel it, we feel it, reveal it. Yeah, yeah, we see it, believe it, it's spirit. We see it, believe it, it's spirit. See it, believe it, it's spirit.
Yeah. Woo. Good job. Everybody may be seated, and I'm going to invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phones right now so that we can prepare for the morning centering. So we've done all our hoopla and our good mornings to one another. Everybody's present and awake, yes? Yes. That's good. So now we're going to go within and take that awake, aware energy and enliven the inside with our morning practitioner, Suzanne Dubois.
Good morning. I don't know how one calms down after all that joy and hoopla, but I invite you in this moment to settle in and include the joy and the movement which we know as spirit, that which is always everywhere present at all times, that which creates freedom and joy and love. I embrace that and welcome it, and know that each and every one of us, each individual present, is part of spirit, is part of that joy and that freedom. And I demand, create, welcome an opening where we today can experience and welcome the words of Reverend Mary, exploring and challenging us to welcome freedom in our life, that place where we make choices, choice to be full, whole, complete, and joyous. And I am grateful for this opportunity to be here with all of you today. And I send out these words, fluttering like butterflies into the universe, saying thank you, thank you, thank you, and it is done, and so it is.
Suzanne.
holy places to visit when I can. Pin a ribbon on my overcoat, raise another flag. I could cheer the loudest for someone else's work. Tell the youth to go forward and heal the world of hurt. To show I know how love moves. That's what I could do. What love needs is my voice speaking from my truth. What love needs is showing up, knowing what is mine to do. What love needs are hands and feet. What love needs is me. You'll never find a brighter light than the one shining as our lives. When one of us stands, we all rise. What love needs is my voice speaking from my truth. What love needs is showing up, knowing what is mine to do. What love needs are hands and feet. What love needs is, what love needs is, what love needs is me. What love needs is me.
Ah, so nice to hear her voice again. Did you enjoy that? Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice. So here we are on the 4th of July, well, almost the 4th of July. And what we're considering this month is how to see through negative circumstances. They're very compelling. So to see the spiritual truth that exists behind those distressing appearances takes some conscious intention. It's not something that we do automatically because our senses are so tuned that what we see and hear and feel seems very real and much more real than anything we can imagine internally. So in order to see through that, we have to know what's true. And we have to align ourselves with that vibration no matter what the appearance looks like. And sometimes that's not easy to do. So on Independence Day, Jimmy's parents were hosting an extended family holiday party at their home. And one of the special treats that evening was going to be the fireworks that they had bought out of state because fireworks were illegal in their state. And shortly before some of the cousins were due to arrive, Jimmy's dad, Frank, got a phone call saying that their neighbor's plans had fallen through and wondering if they could bring them along. And they even had extra food they could bring, to share. And Frank said, sure, the more the merrier. But upon meeting the dad of the guest family, Frank discovered the man was a police officer. So he casually went over to Jimmy and whispered instructions to him to grab that bag of fireworks from the kitchen and hide it somewhere quickly. And so Jimmy nodded and he disappeared. And Frank changed the topic of conversation with the guests to the food. And the guest family said that they had brought chicken to grill. And so Frank told them the gas grill in the backyard was ready to use. He said, just turn on the gas, push the ignition button with the lid still closed. And so they went off to do that. And then Jimmy reappeared and Frank said, wow, that was close. That fellow's a police officer and he almost saw those fireworks. Did you hide them really well? And Jimmy said, yeah, Dad, no worries. Nobody will think to look in the grill. Think about that. When they light the grill, that doesn't seem funny to you? Seems funny to me. So sometimes the appearance becomes more important than the truth that's behind it. And what we want to be able to do is recognize that the freedom that we have, both spiritually and in the United States, is a freedom that comes with rights, but it also comes with responsibilities. And for every right that we have in the spiritual realm, there is a responsibility connected to it. You know, when we're little kids, we want our rights. It takes us a while to learn that we have certain responsibilities in relationship to those rights as well. I saw a little video yesterday of a little girl. She was maybe 2 years old. And she was holding the baby, the family's new baby, in her lap, sitting up on the bed, you know. And the caption was something like, you know, when they've asked you again and again and you finally let them hold the baby and this happens. So she's got the baby in her lap and she's looking down at the baby and the baby sneezes. And the little girl goes, "Gross, I'm done." And she gets up and rolls the baby over on its face on the bed and gets up to leave. So sometimes we don't recognize there's a responsibility that goes along with that right, and we have to learn that. And one of the first things we learn to say when we're in grade school is, "It's not fair. That's not fair," right? And we're very good at demanding what we want that's fair, but we're not so good at being equality-minded toward being equally fair toward other kids necessarily, right? So the process of growing up and growing mature spiritually and as an adult in the world has to do with taking on greater responsibilities and being accountable for them. Actually recognizing that the rights that come with our freedom are really important, and we want those, and we want to claim those, and we want to hang on to those. So the right that we have in spiritual practice is to learn and understand how to use the law, to discover that we have this great freedom in the creative law. But we also have to use it appropriately, because if we don't, it still has natural consequences that come back to us that might not be so pleasant. Because for everything that we put out, there is a response from the universe, and it isn't meant to be a reward or punishment. Oh, you did that well, good girl, not so good in the corner, boy. It's not that. It's that what we do has an energy connected to it that automatically sets in motion the type of response that's going to come back to us. So if we set something out into the world with the intention of creating more good for us, but it has a negative effect on others, the universe will bring something back to us that is equivalent to what we produce in the world, which means that some of that negativity also is going to come back and show itself in our own experience. Why? Why does this happen? Because the universe is set up to help us grow, to help us learn. And oftentimes we pay more attention when we have embarrassed ourselves or when somebody calls us on something. And we actually pay attention to that behavior and recognize that if we don't want that response, we need to shift that. This making sense so far? So we celebrate this wonderful freedom that we have in order to experience creative power. And that creative power allows us to improve our lives and our experiences, but also in that process, it's available to us to do things that allow us to improve not only our lives and experiences, but that of other people as well. If what we're doing supports our aliveness and doesn't harm anyone else, then it's ultimately good everywhere. Because as we do something that lifts us up, it also lifts others up as well, because we're all connected, right? When we look at our lives here in the United States, we see that we have the right to speak our minds. We have the right to vote as we choose. We have the right to read, to write, to evaluate, to travel, to meet and discuss ideas. We have the right to choose our education, our life mate, our religion, our politics, our profession. We have the right to experience all of those. Benjamin Franklin said, God grant that not only the love of liberty, but a thorough knowledge of the rights of man may pervade all nations of the earth, pervade all nations of the earth, so that a philosopher may set his foot anywhere on its surface and say, "This is my country." Just like some of the great religious philosophers would meet with anyone who loved God, any leader of any faith, and pray with them, because faith was the same. Your faith is my faith. Your God is my God. We are connected, even though our practices and beliefs about that are different. So we have those rights. Now, interestingly, Benjamin Franklin held slaves. Up until 1762, when he came back from London that year, he began to work toward abolition. And in fact, in his sort of estate plan, whatever you would call it at that time, his will, he stated that his children would not get their inheritance unless they freed their slaves. So something changed his mind. I don't know what, but we're grateful that something did, because it's difficult to stand for independence and still think of human beings as 2/3 of a person, which they did at that point in time. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Rights that do not flow from duty, well performed, are not worth having." So we recognize the importance of rights, not only ours, but other people's as well. That if we want our own rights, we want to also make it so that others get theirs too. Because otherwise, if anybody is in danger of losing their rights, we all are at some level. It's like the writing that one fellow did about World War II, and he said, first they came from the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't say anything. And then they came from the intellectuals, and I wasn't a professor, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the trade union workers, and I wasn't in a union, so I didn't say anything, and so on. And then they came for me, and by that time there was nobody left to speak. So the recognition is that we stand for each other. We stand together. And spiritual law does not excuse us from that. Anything that we put into motion to take away from someone else while claiming something for ourselves ultimately doesn't serve anybody well. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, said once that for everything that we receive, we must pay in spiritual coin for that. In other words, there is a level of responsibility that the universe holds us to, and it doesn't let us off the hook about that, no matter how important we think we are. So I love the sign that appears in one of the national parks. It says, "Please take nothing but pictures. Leave nothing but footprints." Don't take stuff away from here that's growing. Don't dig stuff up and take it home. This is for everyone. And don't leave trash for the next person. My mom used to say, and I think when I was learning to cook in school, they used to teach us, clean up as you go so that the next person who comes to use that countertop, that kitchen, whatever it is, it's clean and ready for them, just like it was when you arrived, right? So our responsibility then is to pay attention, to leave things in as good a condition as we found them, or to contribute something back. Albert Einstein said something about our, and I don't remember the quote exactly, but it was something about our responsibility to give back for all that we've received, to leave the world better, or at least as well as it was when we found it. And so what we have in our experience from the universe is natural consequences. Consequences that naturally follow what we did. We set the consequences in motion ourselves, and the universe just lets it happen. So our founder also said, we're not punished for our sins, but by them. In other words, what happens as a result of the negative action we've taken, we set it in motion ourselves. The universe didn't do it to us. So when we say, why doesn't God stop that war? How come this happened or that happened? As long as it doesn't have anything to do with innocent children, we're pretty good with recognizing that human beings set that into motion. When it has to do with little kids and their suffering, that's a tougher one for us to see, because it's like, well, what did they do? They didn't do anything. They barely got here, right? The altar that we have this morning, that the Frost family designed and Karen put together, because unfortunately Bridget and Randy have colds today, this lovely altar here has a bunch of candy on the front of it for you. It's Hershey's candy. There is a story to that. Apparently, Mr. Hershey grew up in an orphanage in terrible conditions. When he became successful as a chocolate manufacturer and distributor in the world, and he began to become wealthy, he took responsibility then to take some of that wealth and create orphanages that operated in a better state and fashion than those that he had grown up in as a child. He took his wealth, which is the right he had for creating what he created in the world, and rather than just try and accumulate that and sit on it and enjoy it, he put a portion of it out into the world with the intention of making something better for those coming after him who had experienced what he had experienced. Now, I wonder if he would have felt so passionate about doing that had he not been an orphan. So even though we look at the situation where children are in terrible conditions or they're abused, we don't actually know what that soul wanted to create through its life that this might serve. We don't know. Now, it's not that everybody who's an orphan or is abused as a child grows up and becomes some kind of a hero. We know that. Oops. Oh, so sorry. Didn't mean to tear you there. Speaking of passion, somebody said once if they tied my arms down, I wouldn't be able to talk, and I think that's probably true. The natural consequences that we want to set in motion then allow for a greater good as a possibility to come out of what we're experiencing. So we have a responsibility then that is sometimes recognized nationally. We have a responsibility to give back to our community. We all receive benefit. Are we aware of it? No, not necessarily. But when we are aware of it, then we become more aware of our responsibility. We have a right to vote. We also have a responsibility to vote. They always say, well, if you didn't vote for that person, you can't complain about them. So, or if you didn't vote, you can't complain about them. So we take that responsibility to heart, that freedom is a gift that is not given everywhere to everyone, and in fact, not so far distant in the past. Most people in the world did not have that right to choose who the governing parties would be in their country, yeah? Even in the United States, it's 200 years. So that's not a long time in human history. We also have a responsibility to abide by laws for the general good. We have to license our cars. We have to follow the laws that are related to everything we do for driving. We have to have driver's licenses or fishing licenses and so on. And we have to follow those rules. If we're in a drought, there are rules about how much water we're allowed to use. Is that just for us? No. It's for the entire community. Does that infringe on your right to use as much water as you want? Yes. It does that for a reason, so that we become responsible for the overall well-being of our community, not just our own. Does this make sense, what I'm saying? Yeah? And we also have a responsibility to respect others' choices and to be accountable for our own. So we recognize that if we commit a crime and we get caught, we are going to be punished. But even if we don't get caught, there is something different in the atmosphere around us that very sensitive people become aware of. There is an energy of untrustworthiness. If we are people who lie a lot, or we are dishonest in some fashion. There is an energy about that if people are very discerning, they sense some kind of a red flag, although they don't know why. And when we experience that, we often, or at least I know I do, I have a tendency to think you're prejudging this person. You haven't given them a chance. You're using some kind of intuitive imagining to think that there's something not right, and maybe that isn't fair. Maybe you should give them more time. So then if we give somebody an opportunity that we had that feeling about, sometimes we discover that maybe I should have followed my intuition. Other times we think, yeah, it's a good thing. I set that aside. When we gossip or speak about somebody too soon in that process in a negative way, or maybe even at all, but definitely before we know, when we find out more, we may be embarrassed. We may have set ourselves up in such a way that other people look upon us and think, I don't like her. She makes snap judgments about people, and then she talks about it. So that negativity then begins to hover also around you or around me. Yeah? Is this making sense? What I'm saying, you with me here? You sure? Okay. So John Izzo said, responsibility changes everything. The moment we decide we are the ones who are capable and responsible for changing things, everything shifts. When I injured my back, when I hurt my back so badly, way back, 20 years plus ago, I did everything. I had physical therapy. I had energy healing. I went to a Chinese healer. I had Reiki. I had prayer. I had acupuncture. I had massage. I had body work. And everything that was being done would be helpful sometimes for a little while, but the pain did not diminish really and go away. And I was on painkillers and muscle relaxers and, And one day I thought, nobody's going to fix this. I'm going to have to figure out what to do. I'm the only one that can do anything about this. I'm going to have to do something. And once I made that decision, I didn't even know what to do. But once I made that decision, certain things came into place and clicked in and became more successful and more appealing to me. And I brought those in more and more and welcomed them and invited them more and more into my experience and took advantage of them when they were offered. And then I began to improve. Now, I think it wasn't that any of those things wasn't effective. I think it's that I was in a position of feeling helpless, hopeless, victimized. Anybody ever been there? And things couldn't shift while I was in that mindset. And it took me a long time, being in that much pain, before I gave up my victim thing and went, okay, fine. I guess I have to do something here because nobody's going to figure this out for me. And somehow or other, that decision set something else into motion in the universe. So it wasn't what I did necessarily that made the difference. It was the decision that made the difference, yeah? And so in our, Don Miguel Ruiz says, you are never responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for you. So revenge then, not a good idea. Because what the other person did, that is theirs. You may experience discomfort from it, but it's not your responsibility to correct them. That's up to the universe. Your responsibility is to take care of that hurt and do the healing work you need to do for you. And oftentimes our first impression is we want to figure out a clever thing to say back, or in some way to let them know that they did a bad thing. And when we do that, we anchor the pain that we experience from them. So it's not effective. What we want to do then is to recognize that our soul growth requires both rights and responsibility. We have to have both of those. Tom Crattenmaker has something he wrote, it was a blog, Rights versus Responsibility, and he said, freedom comes with contexts and limits. Freedom means nothing if your fellow citizen is free to do whatever he wants despite the harm that it causes you. We all ought to know that freedom in our free society has never meant we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, whatever the consequences. And this is what Ernest Holmes says too. We don't say you can do whatever you want. We don't say you can have whatever you want. We say you can have what you can first embody, and that what you do is impacted by the laws of the universe, so that when we take action in alignment with the laws of the universe, then the results, the natural consequences that come back to us, reaffirm rights for us. And it's important that we do it in that way, because when we send it out in a way that is not in alignment with the universe, the natural consequences that come back to us will limit our freedom, because we have limited the freedom we sent out into the world. So with our rights, we are given those so that we can enjoy them and learn to use the power of the creative law in ways that enhance our experience and are in alignment with the universe. On the 4th of July in 1937, at the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles, Ernest Holmes' Sunday morning sermon, he said this. I'm not going to read you the whole sermon, just this bit. I believe that the true spirit of democracy is a spiritual conception where there is freedom, liberty without license, and a flexibility that makes evolution possible on the foundation of freedom. As we enter into the spirit of the meaning of Independence Day, the day when liberty symbolically was conceived, the day when freedom objectively in our country was announced, we should think of it not as merely a political system or form of government, but we should think of it as a spiritual conception, an idea in the divine mind itself, taking form in human experience. We should learn to love that liberty. And in loving the idea, we should learn to tenderly and prayerfully handle the embodiment of that idea and nourish it always to greater strength. We should really conceive again the great spiritual conception of that rugged man of God who said, "The government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth." And of course, he's quoting Abraham Lincoln. So what we want to know and remember is that the universe doesn't play favorites. It doesn't matter how good we have been. We haven't collected more brownie points than everybody else. It doesn't matter how bad we have been. The universe never decides we're irretrievable. We're always subject to the natural consequences of what we are currently holding in mind or believing or embodying. Whatever that is, what comes next will reflect that back to us. As we shift internally, the universe doesn't hold a grudge and say to us, "Yeah, you're doing fine today, but last week you did this, so No, we can set ourselves free from that if we make a complete turn, if we make a decision to shift. Then the universe responds to that, and the more we do it, the more it takes over that old tendency and moves us in a direction that's in alignment with the universe. Ernest Holmes also said in The Science of Mind, "It is quite a burden lifted when we realize that we do not have to move the world. It is going to move anyway. This realization does not lessen our duty or our social obligation. It clarifies it. It enables us to do joyously and free from morbidity that which we should do in the social state. So in his writing, what he essentially tells us, Ernest Holmes, is that it is not enough for us to take personal responsibility for our own lives. We also have a responsibility to the social state of being, of community. And what are those responsibilities? Well, we look at the laws, that tells us one thing, but there's more. Because if we abide by the laws of the land and we come from the spiritual recognition of the power of creative law that's in our hands, we will learn to work with each other to allow that creative law to move through us collectively, which it does, of course, but in a direction that we want to put into place to make things better in the world, as Hershey did for orphans to come when he created better orphanages in his time. And it's not something that is just Ernest Holmes' quirky idea, that we do good to other people rather than just paying attention to good for us. Everybody that taught philosophically, spiritually, said this. This is a collection of little sayings from scriptures from all different religions and philosophies. The golden rule, or the ethic of reciprocity, is found in the scriptures of nearly every religion. It's often regarded as the most concise and general principle of ethics. It is a condensation in one principle of all longer lists of ordinances. From the Greek philosopher Socrates, 436 BC is when he passed away, BCE. Do not do unto others what angers you, if done to you by others. Hinduism. This is the sum of duty. Do not to others which, if done to thee, would cause thee pain. Buddhism, which grew out of Hinduism, Buddha was a Hindu, hurt not others with that which pains yourself. Zoroastrianism, which was in the world around the same time as ancient Judaism, is still around, but whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do to others. Judaism, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow men. That is the entire law. All the rest is commentary. Christianity, so in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. That's in the book of Matthew. In the book of Luke, it's said this way, do to others as you would have them do to you. Not do unto others and then split, as I've heard it said. From Islam, no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself. And from the Baha'i faith, which grows out of Islam, and if thine eyes be turned toward justice, choose thou for thy neighbor that which thou choosest for thyself. And from the Wicca tradition, and it harm none, do what you will. So we can see that all of this has been given to us down through the centuries. But I think it isn't just ethics. I think it's because these wise ones understood how creative law works in the universe, even though they may not have called it that or said it that way. They were not only giving us an ethical directive, they were also teaching us how to have good lives and be happy. And people thought it was just a law, well, if you're a good person, you do this. No, it's totally a selfish thing. Do good to others, and others will come back to you. I mean, other good will come back to you. Others may come back to you too, who knows? This is, and I want to close with this, this is Ernest Holmes' prayer for my country. My prayer for my country, he says. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone in this country. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind of God contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed to this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem, and each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. Amen. And what I would add to this is, let's not limit it to the United States of America. Let's claim and see and know this for all life on earth, because we are all one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life right here and right now. And so it is. Namaste. And happy Independence Day. Yeah, there we go. So, let's now ground this in prayer as we turn within. Everything that's been said by Ernest Holmes is complete right now. And so I know that in the divine presence of the One, which we never leave, in the divine presence of the One, which is always the atmosphere in which we think and feel and believe and know and do and experience, that this great neutrality still operates purposefully, lawfully. The law of love is the highest law of being. The law of love is the love that we answer to and that we are nourished by. Love and law. Liberty without license. This is the truth of every soul and is the truth of every one of us in this room, not only this weekend, but always, always. From eternity through eternity. So we claim this freedom. We claim this wisdom. We claim an expansion of our awareness, a greater opening of heart and mind to be courageous, to be ethical, to be generous, and to be kind. And we call those qualities forth toward ourselves as well, letting ourselves be filled with them: courage, kindness, responsibility, and rights. And we send these same ones out as we continue to be filled. We send them out to do their work in the world. We collectively, as a congregation of consciousness, send these out in the world with the claim on the mind and heart of every leader everywhere, on the mind and the heart of every citizen everywhere, on the mind and the heart of every being on the planet in every form of expression and aliveness. We are whole, complete, and perfect right here, right now. So with gratitude, we let this be. We let it go into the law, which immediately acts upon it. And we let it go into the heart of God, where it always, always has been the truth. We just let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. Please stand now and join me for the morning affirmation. I savor the rights I have, and I honor the rights of others. I know these come with responsibilities as well, and I am honored to fulfill them. Life is so good as I practice respect and acceptance for all our beautiful human variety. And so it is. Thanks. You may be seated. So now I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward to prepare to receive the offering. And of course, as we come into our offering time, you all know the drill. There's information on the lower left corner of your bulletin that says everything about all the different ways you can give to Golden Gate. This past week, we received an inheritance. Many of you know Amanda West, who was a practitioner here at one time. She passed away a year or so ago now, and part of her estate was to gift Golden Gate with $10,000. And this past week, Larry made sure that that came to us and we received it. So we're deeply grateful for that unexpected good, and we want to send it out into the world with our gratitude and to do its good work out in the world. So right now, I invite you, whatever your gift is that you're giving today, or if you are the gift, which is very true as well, we want to bless these gifts and this which has been given to us with the giving affirmation. So hold your gift near your heart or hold it with your loved one if you're giving it together, as we say as one voice, this gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is.
Have you seen the way a pebble skips across a lake with a ripple every time it touches down? It might be a single stone, but 1,000 waves come from it alone, stretching out miles around. Without another thought right now, we're all flying at the speed of sound, always climbing, never losing ground. What's at stake is the splash we make every time we touch down. A man gives time to teach in a village. The kids from there head off to college. It's the work of one, moving on and on. Just like that rock skipping across a lake, we send out rings with each choice we make. So pick up your stone and give it a throw. Without another thought right now, we're all flying at the speed of sound, always climbing, never losing ground. touch down. Where you gonna touch down? How you gonna reach out? What are you sending out without another thought right now? We're all flying at the speed of sound, always climbing, never losing ground. What's at stake is the splash we make every time. Oh, every time we touch down. How you gonna reach out? What are you sending out without another thought right now? We're all flying at the speed of sound, always climbing, never losing ground. What's at stake is the splash we make every time we touch down.
So all of us here, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, which is us, do accept this offering with great gratitude. And we send it with the intention that whatever it's used for, wherever it goes, it creates a greater sense of self-esteem to claim our rights and responsibility to live them and share them with others with responsibility and gratitude. And so it is. Thanks. Now, if you happen to be with us for the first time this morning, welcome, happy 4th of July. I would like to draw your attention to this back table. There's a lot of information on that table that you're welcome to pick up and take with you, including welcome packets. So if you're here for the first time, please get a welcome packet and take the blue card out of it, fill it out and give it to Amanda, and she is going to give you a little book as our thank you to you for being here today, and also as an invitation to come back and be with us often in the future. And thank you for being here with us. Also want to thank everyone who helped make this morning possible, setting up everything, and particularly the Frost family. Make sure you get some Hershey's Kisses and goodies before you go, because they're for you. So thank you, Karen. And thank you, team. Everybody this morning, thank you. Well done. All right. Happy birthday, July. If it is your birthday, would you please stand if you have a birthday in the month of July? We have no one here who has a July birthday? Really? Truly? No one we're going to sing it for the people online who have a July birthday, okay? So if you're watching and you have a July birthday, stand up. I'm not kidding. Stand up. Okay. Oh, do you have a July birthday, Anne Louise? Sorry? All right. So we have one in the room. All right. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear July. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Although this is not our event, it is happening with Karen Drucker, so I want to let you know. This coming Saturday, the 8th of July, from 1:30 to 4 p.m., Rachel Naomi Remen is going to be with Karen at CCC in Tiburon doing a workshop. Now, Rachel, I think, is 85 years old. She doesn't do this anymore. So this is one of those rare opportunities to be there. Unfortunately, this is for the ladies. I mean, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for you guys. This is a women's workshop using music, story, and poetry. So Karen wanted you to know about it, and she'll be here with us later this month. You can find out more about that and how to get tickets and all that from her website, karendrucker.com. A week from Tuesday, my summer class, Roots, is going to begin. That teaches how Ernest Holmes came to the ideas he came to by examining the writing of the three people who influenced him the most: Ralph Waldo Emerson, Judge Thomas Troward, and Emma Curtis Hopkins. Three very different characters, and I use the term intentionally. So I encourage you to register from the website, or you can sign up on the back table this morning. And that class begins on Zoom in the evening a week from Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. Also, the 23rd of July, which is also the Sunday Karen Drucker will be here. That Sunday is our summer picnic out here in the park. And so the sign-up sheets are available now on the back table to let us know what you will bring to share. You want to bring a dish for about 10 people. And the church is providing certain food and other food we need. It's all listed there in your bulletin. So make sure you take a look at that and figure out what you might want to bring to share. And we want to thank the picnic team in advance for the guys that are doing the grilling and the ladies that are getting the tables set up, or vice versa, however that turns out. We're just grateful for all of you. Also, the Sunday team could use some assistance. Now, we've got some great ushers this morning, but some Sundays are a little light on the team. And this is a group that comes in early, hands out the programs and welcomes everybody, the Sunday bulletins, any little flyers that we have, any announcements that we have like that. They receive the offering, and they serve the snacks and clean up, and it's only one Sunday a month. I mean, if you tend to be early at all, it's worth considering. Plus, you start to recognize people, and they start to recognize you, and pretty soon, particularly if you're new, you feel all incorporated and comfy. So if you'd like to know more people in the church, at least recognize their faces and have them recognize you, this is a good thing to do. And you want to talk to anybody on the usher team this morning that you see managing food, or talk to Paula Yu, she's the head of the Sunday teams, if you see her. Also, just a reminder, every Wednesday, 7:15 on Zoom, we do a Wednesday evening meditation. This week coming up is going to be prayer and meditation. So we have silent meditation time, we have sharing of good news, and we have prayer requests and prayer. And so no experience necessary, just come and settle in and join us in that atmosphere of prayer. 7:15, you can connect to the link for it on our church calendar on the website. Prayer. I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room now as I remind you that prayer is available to you 24/7. You can call our inspiration line if you want to listen to a prayer at any time, 24 hours a day. The number for that is in your bulletin. You can request prayer at the table and get a prayer with a practitioner right here on Sunday, or put a request in the prayer box, or make a request from the website. All of that's available. The prayer requests that go into the box, our duty practitioners today will work on those throughout the week this week, so we will be joining you in prayer. So in this moment, I'm going to invite you one more time to just turn within. In this divine presence, we know that we are only that. We can't be made of anything else. So as the birds sing, we recognize them as our brothers and sisters, as our siblings, as our nest mates. We recognize the grass that grows, the clouds in the sky, the sunshine, and the person sitting or standing next to us as an embodiment of the one presence, no matter what things look like in this moment. And also, we bring that recognition back to ourselves with gratitude. We step out into this 4th of July weekend with great gratitude for our freedom and our responsibilities. We take these rights and responsibilities with love, knowing we are up to the task of living them fully, claiming them for everyone, and delighting in them as we celebrate this weekend. So with great gratitude, we send each other off into a wonderful day, and we send this prayer off into the creative law so that it can do its wonderful work on this shared consciousness, and we let it go in ease and gratitude. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. Please stand and join us for the closing blessing and song now. as we say together, I now walk. No, together means all of us out loud at the same time. I now walk, that's it, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. And here's Denise for the closing.
Blessings on you, Golden Gate CSL. It has been so wonderful, as usual, to spend this time with you. And I just bless you as you head out into your 4th of July weekend, honoring all of the beauty and power within yourselves and honoring the same in others. We are beautiful, bountiful, and powerful.
Spirit, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are beautiful. Here in the light that surrounds us, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are powerful.
You know the melody now.
Spirit, we are powerful. Trusting in the mind that guides us, we are powerful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Thank you for the life that sustains us. We are bountiful. Spirit, beautiful. Spirit, powerful. Spirit, beautiful. Spirit, bountiful.
Give yourselves a hand, and one more thing before you clap. I just want to let you
Bless
know.
you all, and see you next time.
Thanks, Denise. I want to let you know that Jet Walker's art show is happening up at Community Congregational Church in Tiburon, May 28th through the 16th. And next Sunday, there will be a reception party after our Sunday service until 2 p.m. So head on over to Tiburon and you can see her. Oh, okay, we'll fix that. The flyers say the picnic is in June. It's not. It wasn't. It's in July. The number is right. The month is wrong. So we'll get that straightened out. Thanks, Amanda. So give yourselves a hand. That was wonderful. And wish yourselves a very happy 4th of July weekend. Mwah. Have a great time.